for me, the kiss picture is going to make the paper on the page one, and I'm so nervous about getting it. My picture show, like that kiss.
It's one we all remember as well. That photo is the one when you think of the wedding.
Yeah.
So, well done.
This is Royal Exclusive Rewind, where we delve back into the archive files and relive some of the highlights and lowlights of royal family history. Today I'm joined by legendary photographer Arthur Edwards and news.com.au royal reporter Bronte Coy for a happy memory. The wedding of the century, when the world stood still as Catherine Elizabeth Middleton married her Prince Charming, but not everything went right. Bronte, take us back. April the 29th, 2011, Prince William is standing there next to his best man, Prince Harry. Catherine is walking up the aisle with her sister and her father. What a wonderful day. Tell us what happened.
Oh, it was beautiful. That's the most iconic moment as well when you're watching them. She walks in and she looks quite nervous. She looks absolutely beautiful. But what I loved in this moment was seeing William and Harry. This was them at their best. You could see that William was quite nervous, the very traditional bridegroom, feeling a bit nervy on the day, particularly with tens of millions of people watching. But there was this incredible moment where Harry turns around, he glances at Catherine and then looks back at his brother and he mutters something, which is apparently was later said to be, "Wait till you see her." But he really broke the tension of those nerves that day in that perfect brotherly fashion where he was, he had that big smile on his face that reflected everyone else seeing Kate walk in. And yeah, it was this beautiful brotherly moment. I loved seeing it.
The dress.
Oh,
so
yes.
This was Sarah Burton dress by Alexander McQueen.
Well, look, there are two people involved in every wedding, but let me tell you, the dress that the bride is wearing is usually the part that most people are interested in, especially in a royal wedding. But everyone had waited for months and months and months to see what design she'd go with, which designer she'd work with. And let me tell you, at that moment, I think we all agreed she had absolutely nailed the brief. But even in the years since, no one has compared. I think that we can honestly say that Catherine was, she's my favourite royal bride of all time. That outfit was spectacular. The dress was absolutely the perfect blend of a bit historical. It was sort of a bit Victorian in a way, but it also had modern elements. It had the huge train, all the hand-sewn beads. I think there were 58 beads on it, 58 buttons on it rather. She nailed the brief. Absolute princess.
Now, when Catherine reached William at the altar and Harry was there, I believe lip readers had William saying, "You look absolutely beautiful," which you're pointing out there because the dress was absolutely wonderful. Now, I remember that there was a bit of difficulty getting the ring on. Do you remember this? It must be so tense getting married, and I think there was like 2 billion people around the world were watching this. It must have been so tense for William and Catherine.
Well, it's also, when you're nervous, your hands shake a little. So both of them would have been experiencing that, and again, with the eyes of the world on them. But I loved it because in such an unbelievable setting and on a scale so grand, there's all these little moments that are just so relatable for people that have had weddings, which is you're really nervous. And little things like that happen and it really humanises those moments. So it was this massive scene in royal history, but, they're having these really sweet little bride and groom moments that a lot of people can relate to.
I was going to say, millions, if not billions, Arthur, were watching this on telly. Now, you're obviously the Sun's legendary royal photographer, taking pictures of all the most iconic moments in recent royal history, but you weren't in the Abbey. Tell us where you were on this day.
I went to the palace, the forecourt of the palace, because like Bronte just said, I thought the dress was the most important thing, and that's why I went to St Paul's to photograph Diana when she arrived there with her father, and of course coming down the steps with that beautiful train. But it was the wrong picture for me because the page one picture the next day was Prince Charles kissing Diana on the balcony. Now, I learnt that lesson then, and ever since then I've gone to the palace. And even though I had a pass at Westminster Abbey to go there, I changed it for the one in the forecourt because for me, the kiss picture is going to make the paper on the page one, and everybody wants to get on page one when you're doing there's a big event like that. What
was it like there, Arthur? Because I seem to remember, and I think we iconically on our front page, we mentioned it wasn't just the one kiss.
It was two, yeah. That's right, yeah. And but it was the first one because I was so nervous about getting it. My picture show, like that kiss, I did the whole event, the whole sort of drama of the kiss was everything. And but that's the picture, and the same with when Sarah Ferguson married Andrew, it was the kiss. and that was the page one picture. And when the Queen's, all the Queen's Jubilees, it's always the palace that makes the picture. And even recently, the coronation, you know, it's when the King and Queen are on the balcony wearing their crowns, that's the picture.
It's one we all remember as well. That photo is the one when you think of the wedding.
Yeah.
So, well done.
What was it like there on the Mall then when they emerged? I say millions were watching on telly, and I think Catherine was seen saying "wow" when she saw the crowd. So there was hundreds of thousands of people out there. What was it like?
Yeah, she said, "Well, there was 1 million people in the Mall. You know, it was incredible," and you know, she was nervous. And I tell you about the ring when you were talking about that ring picture. When they got engaged, I saw that Catherine was wearing Princess Diana's engagement ring. And I said to William, I've got to photograph that. And afterwards I went back and photographed it. And her hand was shaking and he had to hold it steady. And I reckon maybe the ring problem was that they were both very nervous. But look, on that day, of the wedding day, I mean, it was fantastic. You know, the light was great, everything was good. The palace looked after us brilliantly. We went there beforehand and we sort of watched all this, the Westminster Abbey thing on television, and we went to our positions and it just was brilliant. And then as we were leaving, I remember Elsa, the press secretary, said, hang on a minute, something's going to happen. And then, of course, the car,
right.
You know, the car. And Prince Charles's Aston Martin, which apparently the Queen bought him for his 21st birthday, came out all decked out with, you know, just got married and balloons and William driving it with Catherine. And
we think that Prince Harry actually
decorated
did
it all. In fact, he did it
just
all.
Wed on the back. There were balloons.
He did
they
it all.
They left Buckingham Palace together. Didn't they? After pick up the story, they were sat there on the front seat together in her in a dress and William.
That's right. Yeah, and they drove to Claret's house. I think that's where they went to. But
it didn't go smoothly though, did it?
No, it didn't.
Right?
I remember. I went to a garden party with Prince Charles. I think a couple of months later, and I said, I think someone asked him, did you let him use the car? He said, oh yeah, he asked me if he'd use it. And I said, why was it like juddering all the time? He said, oh, he forgot to take the handbrake off.
There was also one other person in one of your photographs after that got quite a lot of attention. Poor Grace Van Cutsem.
Yeah, poor little
very
love,
grumpy.
Yeah. She was so unhappy. Yeah, she was so unhappy. Actually, my wife spoke to Sophie at the garden party as she was there and said, you know, well done. Her daughter was one of the bridesmaids, you know, it was nothing to do with us, she said. It was Mrs. Middleton. She organised everything. She gathered all the bridesmaids and the page boys at different events, and so they got to know each other very well. And the fittings for the dresses and everything. And so she totally dominated that and made it work. So it's all down to Mrs. Middleton. But something went wrong with poor little Grace because she was just so unhappy. She just looked so miserable, so unhappy, didn't want to be there. And everybody else was sparkling. It was there, it was, but you know, you can't, you know, children sometimes don't come up to it, you know, but they should do.
Unscripted, but a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as Arthur pointed out there, Bronte, they went off in then Prince Charles's Aston Martin up the Mall into wedded life, and you had Harry, William, and I suppose they all lived happily ever after.
Sure. You know what? Let's end the story there. That's a beautiful way to end it. We know nothing else that came after that. Yeah, it is. You know, as I mentioned before, particularly seeing Harry and William at the end of the aisle in that moment when Harry's, you know, reassuring his nervous brother, it is really sad at what came later, but it is that reminder back then. It's one of those really nice moments with them that I suppose we hold on to because it sort of was one of the few last ones, I guess.
Yeah. And Arthur, was it your favourite ever royal wedding?
Probably, yeah. I think it was, yeah. I mean, it was. They were, you know, they were sort of just a magic couple, you know, and you know, William. I mean, they had a great courtship as well, you know, up in St Andrews. In fact, he talked about it on that interview recently, you know, about he was trying to do 45 pubs in one day. That's pretty amazing. But no, they had a great time to get to know each other, and as Bronte said, you know, that dress was stunning. You know, she looked like $1 million. In fact, I think everybody talked about the sister as well that day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was pretty good looking too. So, no, it was a lovely day. I've never forgotten it. And William was just, I mean, his Irish Guards uniform. I mean, it was just brilliant. It was brilliant. And you know, I can't say enough about this couple. I think, as I said, I think we're so lucky to have them. She is just a kind of, I don't know, sort of just grasped this job, and she's going to be a great queen. And he, as I say, he'll be a king, but he'll be a different king to the king we've got now and the queen we had before. So,
well, there's plenty more stories about William and Catherine and William and Harry that we can pick up on in future episodes. So thanks very much for going back to a happy memory in royal family life. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Right, that's all we have time for on Royal Exclusive Rewind. But join me next time for some royal nostalgia when we open the files and relive another iconic moment.